Welcome back to CouchSide. After a long hiatus, we're back and we're ready to bring you back the news. My name's Gerald, and substituting for Mario tonight is Justin Holding, and you know him from Lit Sports Online. Great to have you on set, buddy.
Yeah, we're going to have a great show. Glad to be here. Just to jump into it here, basically what we want to do this episode is catch you up on everything that's happened in regards to now President Trump's inauguration, all the events around it since then. There's actually been a lot that's happened. It seems like a couple days.
5 days.
It's crazy how much has got done already. Yeah. We have news to talk about what Trump did with his executive orders, his cabinet, administration, the media feud that's going on. We want to catch you up on all of that details. So I think a good starting point is, hey, we touched on this in a previous episode, his cabinet appointments and what we thought. Those were just nominations. They're going through a confirmation process. Need to talk with the Senate, go through these confirmation hearings, and there's two that have happened that stick out to me. The Department of Education Secretary nominee Betsy DeVos and Rick Perry for Department of Energy. They went through their confirmation hearings, and how did that go?
Completely unqualified. Like, you literally gave a person that probably has no idea what the heck they're doing a position of extreme executive power. I mean, we're talking about a woman who literally thinks grizzly bears are a threat to our students, who doesn't believe in the public school system, who's never even taken out a school loan, which you can't fault her, you know. I won't fault her for that one. Not everybody's taking out school loan, but you're running the department, which loans are a multi-billion-dollar industry nowadays. You don't know anything about it. In fact, I think actually she runs a collection agency, believe it or not.
Yeah, the whole grizzly bears thing, I mean, that was basically her argument for removing the gun-free school zones. And frankly, I think if you're going to argue that, you got to come up with a better point than grizzly bears.
I mean, unless you live in, Idaho or Alaska, I don't think grizzly bears are your biggest threat.
It was ridiculous, and I saw, like, on C-SPAN, there's a couple different senators, high-profile senators, questioning her. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Al Franken. Yeah. They all had questions, and they were stumping her with those questions. It was kind of sad to watch. Basically, we learned that she doesn't have any experience, doing any sort of like banking or fundraising for that you would need to know to be in this type of position. And outside of that, I mean, we already knew this about her, but doesn't believe in public education. She wants to make everything privatized with education. I really don't know how that would even work. Yeah. But that's basically her stance, and she just really looked unqualified answering the questions, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at it at face value, and I mean, I think this is across the board for most of his picks. I mean, I do respect, the defense secretary pick, the general. I do respect him, I do. But when you look at, like, the Department of Education, you have someone that doesn't believe in public schools. Well, public schools account for virtually most of the educational body in America. You can't have somebody that doesn't believe in it running the department that controls it.
And she was asked questions about, where the funding should go and if all the schools should be on an equal playing field as far as how they receive funding, and she could not even answer like yes to simple questions like that. She was just trying to leave herself open-ended to, I feel, do something underhanded down the line. Yeah. I just got a feeling they're going to cut major funding to those public schools and try to pump it into the private charter schools. I think that's what they're gearing up for. But I don't know. I mean, I look at this and like, we have what's basically now a full Republican government. Can they really be denied off of these hearings? I mean, I'm not sure they even can.
Well, I know the voting has to be like a certain number. It has to be a certain amount of senators before they can be passed. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the exact number, but it does have to be a certain amount. So in a sense, they could get denied. They could. There is a possibility. I do believe that. But my thing is, and this is what irritates me, and it's like, at the end of the day, I understand. Politics, your party, you're loyal to your party. So if you're Republican, you're loyal to the president in a sense that that's the case. But if it's not the best person for the job, eventually your conscience will come under play and, make that decision. No, we're not going to let this person. Because at the end of the day, if you truly do believe in America, if you truly do believe in the betterment of this nation going forward, you're not going to pick the worst person for the job. That's stupid. That's wishing for fail.
And the other thing about it is, I look at it, it's one thing if Trump was bringing on this woman as an advisor.
Yeah.
For your personal advisors, get whoever you want. I mean, that's you get people that you think are going to advise you the best, but these are people that are going to be responsible for doing certain major things in government, and they need to be qualified.
Yeah.
And the other one, just to touch on him briefly, Rick Perry, Department of Energy. Yeah, and it was funny because years back when he ran for president, he basically said that's one of the agencies need to be eliminated. And then we find out that, basically this guy doesn't even know what a centrifuge is.
Yeah.
He basically didn't even, there's a whole bunch of stuff the Department of Energy does he had no idea about. And it's like, if you're going to appoint someone, shouldn't they know exactly what
at
the
least
department
have some
does?
background in the field, yeah. It'd be like, let me see, you're hiring a policeman to be, I don't know, like a carpenter. Something totally random and completely out of left field. I don't know what his background is, and it's definitely not pertaining to the Department of Energy. He was a governor, which is, he does have executive experience in that sense, but if you don't even know what, how the Department of Energy works, why would you even accept that invitation to the job?
And you know why I think he's more interested in doing the job now? Is, well, besides the fact that now he gets to basically block all the regulation for the energy, but now he realizes, hey, the Department of Energy also has to do with the nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And so now we got Rick Perry behind that. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't feel good at all. I don't remotely feel good at all. I mean, Rick Perry came on to me as just, I'm just here, I don't really know much. Hi.
He doesn't come off as a very smart
Not
person.
a very intelligent dude. I was trying to say it in the nicest way possible. Thanks. But he doesn't come off as a genuinely, deeply intelligent person. I'm not, no disrespect to him. Obviously, he's intelligent enough to accomplish as much as he's accomplished in his career. But I don't trust him to have executive powers over our nuclear arsenal. No, there's no way that I would. No, there's just no way.
I think a good policy should be, with these cabinet appointments, if they're getting an education on the go as to what the department even does, maybe they're not the right fit.
No. This shouldn't be something you get trained in. Basic executive things, okay. But if you're being trained on what this department is in general, no. Not a chance. Not a chance.
So another thing we want to talk about, and I only want to touch on this briefly because it's not really, in my opinion, that huge of a deal, but there was a big stink made about the inauguration crowd size of Trump's compared to Obama's. It kind of got blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
What really stuck out to me, though, is Sean Spicer. He's the new press secretary for the White House now.
Gosh, I don't want to watch this guy.
And he was basically just trying to defend without facts how big that crowd was. And I gotta say, the only reason I really want to talk about this is just because it shows the feud between the media and Trump and his cabinet and administration.
And Justin, before you go on, this war's only going to get worse, I think. Number one, I mean, like I said, we can go on all day and all night about how bad the media is and how they twist, society, this, that, and the other, but when you go to war with the media, you're asking for trouble. Because a lot of people do take the word of the media at face value. They do take it to, let me retract. They take it to heart, The media, what the media says is gospel a lot of the case, and that's dangerous. That's very dangerous. And you're, as a president, your cabinet, your administration is at war with them. That's not good.
I think there was some foreshadowing here, too, because we saw when Trump was running for president.
Yeah.
When the poll numbers were great, he was like, yeah, I'm topping the polls. This is awesome. And then when the poll numbers were down, he said, you know what? You can't trust the polls. it's almost like, you know, if the media just said good things about him, he wouldn't have any problem.
Yeah.
But whenever there's negative attention on him, he bashes the media, says you can't trust them, they're dishonest. And it's like a theme we've seen up to this point, and we're just going to keep seeing it.
We are. I think, you know, no matter what, Trump is going, like I said, you know, like you just said, I'll repeat it. You know, if they love him, he loves them. If they hate him, he hates them. But that's not a good way to go. I mean, I think as president, you got to accept the good with the bad, and that's one thing I respected about a lot of the presidents in the past is that, you know, it wasn't this big stink. And I hate the fact he's on Twitter. And not just the fact you're on Twitter, because a lot of politicians are on Twitter, but the fact he uses his Twitter just to, you know, complain, to, you know, lash out. That's very unprofessional.
Yeah, I mean, as a president especially, you got to stay above the weeds. I mean, if you're going to be doing this stuff, at least have the decency to just, like, let your minions take care of it.
Yeah.
But you should not personally be, like, making these kind of statements against the media and, like, tweeting at 2 in the morning.
I'm sorry, if you're attacking Saturday Night Live as a president, you should probably rethink your, you know, a few things in your life.
It's a new age, and because all this stuff's happening, Gerald, honestly, I think this may have just, like, set a new standard for what a president is. You know, this may actually be, I mean, I don't know that after Trump we're going to see it to the same extent, but it's really loosened the book for, like, what's allowed as a president.
Yeah, I mean, you go from a Harvard graduate, college professor type lawyer president, you know, who served in the Senate, to a reality TV star, essentially. I mean, that really does, that says something. And, I mean, like I said, you know, the way the Constitution was set up, and I will give Trump his credit, the Constitution was set. You know, the president, you're not a career politician, you go become president, you go back home to your farm. That's how it was back in the old days. That's how it was when the Constitution was built. And, of course, over years, you know, it's almost like a sense of promotion. You go from what I've seen lately, you know, or at least, you know, recently, you know, a senator to a president, you know, a lot of senators were running for president. It's almost like career politicians then become president. And this is a change, and I do, in a sense, like the fact, I don't support Trump, honestly. I'll openly say it. I hope for the best because it's our country. You want the best for our country. You know, you hope that he does good and the policies he puts in place will be the best thing for this country. Because, I mean, hoping the president fails is like hoping that the captain of the ship while you're deep in the ocean crashes into a freaking iceberg. You know, but I do respect the fact that he isn't a career politician. That's about the only thing I respect, honestly. But
right, and I want to make that point clear to everyone. Like, we're not here to just bash Trump.
No, not at all.
And to hope he does terrible. I want him to do well, it's just I can only go off what I see.
Yeah.
And what I've seen up to this point and what I'm expecting, it doesn't look great, to be honest with you, from my perspective. Yeah. But no, I would not wish any ill upon the president. I want him to do a good job. Yeah. I hope that he gets good advisors in his ear that can steer him the right way. But it all remains to be seen. What he's done so far, though, Gerald, you know, and this is another thing I definitely wanted to touch on, the executive orders he's done so far.
Thank you. Yeah.
What he's signed into law so far. Why don't we start with the pipelines?
Yeah.
So Dakota Access Pipeline, Keystone Pipeline, he approved those. They're going through. What do we think about that?
I think in the next few months, because it's not going to take long for production, you know, for people, you know, construction to start. It's not going to take long. But I expect a lot of protests, bigger than even the ones that they had originally. I think that this is dangerous because essentially, and my whole thoughts on the Keystone Pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline, my whole thoughts on it is, and just call me, you know, whatever you want, I believe, as a person who's driven across the country, there's a lot of empty space. We don't use, in terms of infrastructure, we are horrible at space management. And in the Midwest particularly, if you drive out through Indiana, you know, some points, there's just nothing. Perfect spaces for like wind farms, solar panels. You go out to the deserts of Utah, Nevada, you know, somewhere out in the Southwest. You could have solar panels for miles that could power the country. And I think while we're wasting this time and this money on these oil pipelines. I understand. Not every, and I'm not even talking about on the basis of cars, because I got into an argument with a guy today. He was like, well, if you get rid of oil, what about cars? Not everybody has an electric car. Okay, that's cool and dandy. But we need to move away from this, because this isn't forever. The sun, that's forever. Wind isn't going anywhere. So we need to focus on stuff like that. And I see when you pass executive orders like this, it's pretty much you're just saying, let's stick in the same old technology we've been using. Let's let the rest of the world run past us, because essentially it's like when he promised coal miners jobs. Coal is a dead technology for the most part. We're moving away from coal as a country, and I think instead of promising a job, because these jobs aren't coming back, people, coal mining jobs aren't just going to up and pop into place. He knows it. It was a great campaign tag, We're going to bring the coal miner jobs back. A lot of people in West Virginia and Ohio and the Midwest were all excited out in Pennsylvania, yeah. And it won him an election, essentially. But in a sense, they got duped, because that's not going to happen. What they should do is re-educate a lot of these workers. Instead of funding the pipeline, let's educate these workers. Let's put them to work in other technological fields. Let's build up a different energy infrastructure.
Not a bad idea.